back in the saddle, and it's certainly good to be exactly that. It's the 21st of May. It's a Wednesday. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett. She's Sarah Ellison. As always, glad you guys can be here. Partner, thanks for carrying some extra weight these last couple days, and thanks to all of you for hanging on tight. It's obviously been this was unplanned. And anybody who wants to be out there questioning the strength of my immune system or lack thereof, I will refer to you to Francis John Trossett. So with that, that's my statement. Partner, we got a lot to discuss today, including Joe Burrow's latest and his latest remarks regarding the schedule and him traveling to Baltimore. Lamar has weighed in on a big topic of hand this week, and there is some more drama that appears to be stirring in the AFC North. So that much more is what we have. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to see you rising from the dead. I know you're not all the way through it. We can all see you have a different background behind you because you're moving. You're in the middle of a move. And so I think the Maryland flag might be packed away right now. But what made me laugh is when you said, if anybody wants to question my immune system, do I have to remind you the text you sent me last night? You said my immune system is what?
Is the WOT, the worst of all time.
Yeah. So, but it sounds like there's controversy between you and your dad on how you got sick. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently he's been in the live chat kind of, talking his talk. And I just want to remind everybody that we had a celebratory weekend for our youngest brother, John, who graduated Loyola. Congrats to him. Francis was not going to miss it, which I respect, but he did show up sick as a dog. And given my immune system, given the limited sleep, given the excess drinking, it was a perfect storm. It was the Buffalo plague in January. It was the Francis plague in May. It's been a rough 2025, but I'm glad to be back with you.
Moneybag says you've got Lamar Jackson's immune system.
Apparently.
Lamar's good for a good 1 week illness every year, but we all are. I think you have a normal immune system. You just got caught up in Buffalo. I think that's all it was. You're good.
If I'm normal, you're Superwoman because somehow you evade these things with 4 kids and all the germs that comes home from school on a day-to-day basis. So
and my husband going to the hospital every day. We've just built up immunity around here. Yeah. That's what we do. No, but I also like sleep. I sleep. I don't have tough weekends. The weekends is where I catch up, all that kind of stuff. So,
it was a perfect storm. I will say that it was a perfect storm. I think Francis was a component of what went into this, but I'm back now. Obviously you can hear some of the congestion. Bear with me today, guys. There will be some sneezing, perhaps. I don't want to speak of that into existence, but there will be some nose blowing and some other things. So with that, yes, I am in the middle of a move. So you'll be seeing me in nomadic form here over the next few months, but I look forward to that. And I look forward to moving forward with absolutely no hesitation at all. So with that, let's begin this show, and let's begin with Joe Burrow's comment, Sarah, on this whole primetime discussion that, he weighed in recently on.
Yeah, well, you know what? We've heard it before. The Ravens have gotten 4 home primetime games in a row over the last 4 years. Last week, some of the Bengals fans were complaining about it. Last week, the Bengals reporters were noting it. And this week, I believe Bengals started their OTAs. Joe Burrow was at the podium. He was asked about it. And it's not playing for some reason. Don't even tell me we're having these problems again because I brought in all the videos. Please work. Oh my gosh.
But in the meantime, luckily you have his transcription, and here it is on the screen. He said, playing in Baltimore for the 4th straight primetime year isn't ideal. Maybe we can get one of those in Cincinnati next year. And he went on to say, please.
Let me see if I got it this time. You've got to be kidding me. Bobby, it's early in the show, and I have all the videos, so I'm coming out and coming back in. You talk on it. I'll be right back.
You do it. Yeah. I mean, look, there go the slides. This stream so far is probably feeling similarly to how I feel at this current moment, on empty. But just give us a second here. Let's bring in these slides in real time.
Slides too.
No, you're good. I told everybody, I said, look, this is so symbolic of how I'm feeling right now. The stream is under the weather as well. That's all right though.
Oh, this is not good news.
But basically, look, did he say it with an attitude? No. Was he sulking? No. But clearly, he's asking the NFL for more of a primetime card, if you will, when they have to play the Ravens at home and are on the road. Obviously, a lot of these primetime games have been played in Baltimore, is his point. And you have the numbers here just in terms of the Ravens-Bengals rivalry that's really not a rivalry when you think of Lamar versus Joe in the head-to-head, because it's been anything but. It's been an utter demolition. Look at this. Ravens are 20-5 in primetime games with Lamar as the starter. That includes a 714 road win percentage. Lamar has a 10-1 record against the Bengals as a starter. He's a perfect 4-0, unbeaten in Cincinnati. Baltimore's been on the raw end of a Ravens-Bengals scheduling quirk as well. The NFL scheduled 7 of 8 season finales from 2011 to 2022 in Cincinnati. That included 5 in a row, so you did some deep dive digging on that nugget. The Ravens have also been on the raw end of an AFC North primetime trend. They played 7 primetime games in Pittsburgh during an 8-year span from 11 to 18. The Ravens only got 2. And as you kind of summarized, yes, everyone has schedule complaints. Just win. John Harbaugh's over the years has been home Monday night primetime games. Well, he got one this year against Detroit. There's always quirks. There is no such thing as a perfect schedule. And so, obviously, for Cincy, they're hoping for more Baltimore games at home in primetime fashion. They're going to have to wait, Sarah.
Playing in Baltimore for the 4th straight primetime year isn't ideal. Maybe we could get one of those in Cincinnati next year, please. Maybe an international game next year, too.
And you are muted at the moment.
We finally got it to work, but boy, oh boy, are the technical difficulties not being nice to us today. But yeah, so Bobby, I have no problem. Listen, NFL schedule makers, give Cincinnati a primetime game next year against the Ravens. Have no problem with that. John Harbaugh has spoken before at the podium about not having Monday night football games. But here's what's funny about it is every time he asked and every time the NFL didn't give it to him, it was kind of funny. Like it was just funnier every time they didn't give it to him. And then every time he asked for it and then they didn't give it to him, it just made it a little bit more funny, even if you were inside of Baltimore. So listening to Joe Burrow say, it's not ideal. Maybe we can get one next year, please. It's funny. He's got a point, but it's funny. It's funny. It's even more funny if they would not give it to him next year. It's also funny given the numbers that you just talked about here that has been brought up a million times. Here's what's hilarious about it. The Ravens are phenomenal in primetime, whether at home or away, which you pointed out. But the Ravens have the Bengals numbers at home or away too. And so the Ravens are a perfect 4-0 in Cincinnati with Lamar Jackson. And so I don't know what the reasoning all the way is. We looked at Nick, what was his name? The vice president of scheduling from the NFL. It was Nick somebody, I'm forgetting his last name. He said that it wouldn't have been right if they gave the Ravens 2 Thursday night primetime games on the road. The Ravens already have one with Miami. But at the end of the day, this is a rivalry that every year we play in both spots, and Lamar Jackson is 10-0. It's 10-0. So I hope he keeps asking. If they give it to him, cool, fine. Cincinnati's due. If they don't, it's just going to make me laugh harder.
Mike North is who you were referencing there, who had some thoughts on that as the NFL schedule maker, and he joined Kay Adams, and we had some of that last week. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is obviously going to be overblown a little bit within this digital media landscape, right? I think that you've seen the fan bases kind of down each other's throat, which makes for some good entertainment and definitely some buildup into this matchup. But for right now, Burrow and company going to have to prove, Sarah, what they have been unable to prove throughout the Burrow era in Cincy, and that is the ability to consistently win games against the Ravens. Because while they have been close, and last year's were incredible, barn burner types of classics. I mean, instant classics, overtimers, overtime finales, high scoring, explosives all over the place. They haven't been able, they've been on the wrong side of that loss column time and time and time again. And that's exactly what your numbers suggest. Yet, according to John Costco of PFF, he's still got Lamar taking a back seat in his current quarterback rankings to a guy that he has been, again, utterly dominant against in head-to-head matchups. And, of course, who has the more successful resume to date aside from the Super Bowl appearance. We know that is Lamar when you compare him head-to-head against Burrow. In Costco's top 8 here, he's got Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar comes in at 3, Josh Allen is 4, Jalen Hurts rounds out his top 5, Jaden Daniels, Stafford, and Herbert 6 through 8. So John Costco, Sarah, can't say I'm familiar with his work, but obviously is employed by PFF. Just garnered a ton of attention online. What were your thoughts on it?
My thoughts is that, Joe Burrow should be behind. I mean, if I'm assuming these are 2025 rankings going into the 2025 year, to me, Joe Burrow should be number 4, and then Lamar and Josh should be moved up a notch each. Joe Burrow, look, I get it. His defense stinks. What I don't get, though, is how Joe Burrow gets all the context in the world. People give him so much context. He went to the Super Bowl. How many years ago is it now? Has it been 3 years? It's been several years now. And then when the Bengals lose and don't make the playoffs, they finished 3rd in the AFC North, didn't sniff the playoffs. And so I agree. His defense stinks. And if he had a better defense, they would be more of a threat in the AFC North and in the AFC overall. But either we have context or we don't have context, because when it comes to Lamar Jackson, he'll get into the playoffs every time he's healthy, regardless of the pieces around him, regardless of whether the defense is playing well or not. And the defense, we know, was terrible. The pass defense was terrible last year, the worst in the league for the most of the year. And then the Ravens make the playoffs, and if they lose, doesn't matter when they lose, whether it's wild card, divisional, AFC championship game, it's Lamar couldn't get it done. No more context around that. But when it comes to Joe Burrow, it's like, well, but he's amazing. And this is Burrow not even making the playoffs the last couple of years. And so, it's just interesting to me that he continues to get, when he's talked about, you put in the defense. When Lamar gets talked about, it's just everything is Lamar's fault. And it depends on the analyst that's speaking. But in this case, I just don't see how you justify it when Joe Burrow isn't making the playoffs. So I'd move Burrow to number 4 and move Lamar and Allen up.
One of the two were able to overcome significant deficiencies on the other side of the ball last year. Were Burrow's more significant than Lamar's? I'm talking about their respective defenses. Yes, I do believe that. I think that Cincinnati's were much more significant in terms of all 3 levels, not getting the productivity or consistency that was warranted and needed and ultimately required to be a postseason team. But that shouldn't discount what Lamar and his offense was able to overcome through the first 10 or 11 weeks of last season. So I'm with you there. What you got to love about Joe, though, is, boy, he gets up and speaks out for his guys. And we've seen that with his wide receivers. We're now seeing that with Trey Hendrickson. And we know that Trey is in the middle of somewhat of a standoff. Yes, he is under contract this upcoming season, but given the numbers, given the market, that's exactly what Joe pointed out here. He's got something to stand on.
I got the video. Here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. You guys all know how I feel about Trey. He's a great player. I love Trey as a guy. He goes out and plays well every single Sunday. He's very productive. He's a guy that deserves to get paid and get paid what he wants and what the market is. So, like I said, we'll see what happens with that. But I love Trey and hope he's with us.
Yeah, Bobby, listen, like I hear what you're saying, that you said you got to love Joe, that he stands up for his guys. And it's like, I don't know, like, listen, players should always stand up for players. And I think most of the time they do. I've never heard a player say, nah, he doesn't deserve to get paid, So I'm sure, Lamar, there will be contract situations coming up in the next year for the Ravens, a ton. There's going to be Isaiah Likely. There's going to be Kyle Hamilton. There's going to be Linderbaum. There's going to be Mark Andrews. There's going to be KVN, all of this. And my guess is that if you ask Lamar about any of them, he'd be like, yeah, I want to keep him. I love him. I love that guy. I love this guy. I love that guy. But at the same time, you're right. Joe does sometimes take it to another level. He did for Higgins for sure. And it's just like, I'm fine with players standing up for other players. And at the same time, you're not the GM though. And so I feel like Trey Hendrickson was granted an opportunity to go out and look at his value out on the market. And my guess is, because we're still sitting here, and again, I'm all for Trey doing everything he needs to do to try to pull levers to negotiate and get the money that he wants. But he was granted that, and nothing has happened. And so Joe Burrow pounded the table for T. Higgins. That's his right. And they paid T. Higgins. And so the Bengals, if they want, can say, you know what? We made Higgins a priority. We've got Trey Hendrickson under contract. And yes, he just led the NFL in sacks again. I would love to have Trey Hendricks over at the Ravens. I'll take him any day. And at the same time, though, it's like Joe can just keep speaking up. But at the end of the day, the Bengals front office is going to make a decision. And for me, I like this at a stalemate. Trey Hendrickson is a phenomenal pass rusher. Phenomenal. And I would be happy if this helped the Bengals start slow again, right? Because they don't have their guys inside. So anyway, just in terms of Joe speaking up for his guys, most guys do say, hey, yeah, this guy deserves to get paid. That guy deserved to get paid. But that's easy to say. And so that's all he's got to do is just say it. He's like, yeah, anytime somebody asks me if my teammate should be paid, I'll say yes.
Yeah, most do. Certainly not complicated. At the same time, kind of what you alluded to, I felt like he stuck his neck out there a little farther with his receivers.
Yep.
And now this from Trey. So you're seeing a little bit of a trend. Trey does turn, little tidbit here. Trey does turn 31 in December. So if there's one thing that's a knock, aside from the fact that, or I should say, despite the fact that he's actually coming off, he was the all-time, words, Bobby, you can do it. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Just speak. He was the NFL sack leader. And so he's still got it. But in other teams' minds, knowing he's under contract and knowing what they would have to give up right now, given his value coming off of last year, which was utterly dominant, I wonder if that's created some pause, knowing the age, knowing what they would have to give up, and knowing that cliff could be coming soon.
Meanwhile, one pass rusher still wants to get paid and has made it very, very public, there's another pass rusher that they just drafted in the first round in Shamar Stewart. And we already know that when the Bengals rookies reported in Cincinnati, Shamar Stewart was there. He was in all the meetings, but he did not practice because he has not signed his contract yet. And so Jordan Schultz, along with many others reporting in the Cincinnati area, that Shamar will remain sidelined as phase 2 of the offseason workouts begin. That was yesterday, due to that disagreement over the contract language in his rookie deal. Now, I'll remind you, Bobby, the Ravens have yet to sign Malachi Starks and Mike Green. But Mike Green and Malachi Starks both participated in rookie minicamp. And there's no word yet, but I'm assuming if they participate in rookie, they'll go ahead and do that for phase 2. And really, at the end of the day, there is a rookie pay scale, so the overall money is set. But when the money is paid and other little details can be worked out and can be negotiated when you kind of get the money and all of that. And so I'm assuming that's what's going on here with Shamar Stewart. I'm assuming Shamar and Malachi Starks and Mike Green will all eventually sign their deals. But it's nice in Baltimore that these two rookies are playing. And again, knowing that the Bengals often get off to a late start, this will set back their rookie, who didn't have a lot of production in college and probably needs to start acclimating to the NFL. So it will set him back. How big of a deal will it be in the long run? I don't know, but it is a minor setback.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not pressing the panic button yet if I have any kind of allegiances to Cincinnati. But if I'm in that pass rush department and I'm a coach or I'm an assistant or I'm anybody that has ties to Cincinnati, I want him in the building and I want him involved, from the jump, because of what you just cited, because of what the jump is going to be, you would think, from somebody that, yeah, we can talk about the F the play up stat all we want, coined by Chris Sims. Mm-hmm. But until that translates to the NFL, I think, just begs the question, how much time is he going to need for that transition to be as seamless as possible? Should we get to some super chats?
Yes, sir.
So it looks like our newest channel member is a guy named Mr. Johan Frizzle. So Mr. Johan Frizzle, welcome to channel membership. I did check, Sarah, prior to today's show. We are closing in on 300 Voltron's official channel members. So that's awesome.
300, you said?
We're closing in on 300. We're at 256.
Ooh, okay.
256. Now, the reason why I say closing in being over 30 away, over 40 away, is you can do math too, Bob. You can speak and you can do math. I know you can do it. Is because when you got PHP in the building, and I saw him drop a super chat here in the next couple, at any given time, you could be nearing in on the next big milestone because of his generosity. So we'll just throw that out there.
Okay, gotcha.
Jang checking in.
She says, Bobby, you need to start taking ginger shots. LOL.
I need to start doing zinc and a bunch of other things that I'd like to do. Moneybag, who's a channel member, as is Jang. Not going to matter if it's prime time or not. Burrow can't beat Lamar. Burrow just wants Tyler Huntley again in the playoffs. Woof. Maybe that was for you. Wolf. With a bunch of L's in there. I'm not sure I've seen that spelling before. Appreciate you, Moneybag. Dre-Dog679 with a little bit of humor here. He's not actually trying to dog walk me, but I'll let you take this one.
He said, Bobby, I'm a dog walk you if you don't let me help you get your immune system right. You get sick like once a month. You got to get it right, bro. Happy you're back.
Happy you're here, Dre.
Listen, man, all I know is I felt like I used to get sick more often, and everybody's got to find what works for them. But as soon as I started taking daily vitamins, and you got to find the vitamins that work for you. I do a lot of vitamins. Made sure I got 7 to 8 hours of sleep, exercise every day. And I know you do that. And I already don't drink alcohol or anything. I've heard other people say that they feel better doing that. Those three things, sleep. I mean, that's vitamins. And eat right. And I know you eat well too. So it's eat right, sleep right, exercise right. And, take those vitamins. That's what's turned me around big time.
I can check a lot of those boxes, but yeah, clearly something's got to change.
And maybe get a couple kids to build up your immune system.
Get a couple,
for all the germs they bring into the house.
Adopt a couple kids. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Dre. And here he is, PHP, Park Heights Prophet, checking in. Somebody who's really become a staple here.
Yeah.
Drops in a $20 with the orange banner, which always pops. PHP says, back like I never left. Correct, because at the end of last
I'm
week, he
back.
said, hey, I'll see you guys on Tuesday, which is just jogging my memory right now. PHP says, I'm going to need you to take this, Sarah.
Yeah, I got you. Back like I never left. We did miss you, PHP. Says, I've been to Cincy for a game. They don't deserve a primetime game. Week A stadium. Woof. Bengals are as weak of a fan base as the Bills. Ball hit no punches. The bank, now this is definitely true. The bank is electric, and they cannot beat us with Lamar anyway. Woof. Woof. PHP coming in with the super chat, the generous super chat, and some trash talk, not just for Cincy, but also for Buffalo.
The guy's electric. Can't wait to meet him in person someday. Whiplash 4, thanks for carrying me there. Bills and Ravens fans need to set aside their differences for the true most coddled QB, LOL. I bet he wins a true MVP if they make the playoffs.
It does feel like Burrow's even more cuddled than Allen. Even though he's saying, I do feel like those few voters that voted incorrectly kind of gave it to him because it was like, quote unquote, his time, which would be kind of out of pity. If you look at their reasoning, it for sure was out of pity. But I feel like the more success you have, the harder people go against you. And so I think now that Allen has gotten that MVP, I am hearing a little bit more people, when they do the whole who has more pressure, now people are saying, okay, Allen's right there because now he has an MVP. And so I think it's because Burrow maybe hasn't had those individual awards and, is missing the playoffs that they give more excuses. I don't know, but I feel like the more that you succeed, the more critical people are.
PHP with another one.
He said, don't tempt me to 300 Bobby bronchitis.
You got to.
I don't know why. You are so feeling under the weather, and I feel so badly for you. So I kind of feel bad laughing at that, but that was kind of funny.
I'm laughing.
Okay.
Just so everyone's clear. Okay, people are like, there's people in the chat that are like questioning why I'm like escaping from the camera shot at one point. What do you think's going on? Yeah. I'm trying to gut through this show. And
he's coughing and he's sparing us.
And I think, and Levi, yeah, my voice is absolutely monotone and disgusting right now because I'm sick. So first of all, PHP, I think it's hilarious, Sarah. The reason why I'm not laughing with you, physically out loud, is because I'm going to put myself into a fit. So I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't laugh, and you can't talk too loud, or else you start going into a coughing fit.
Correct.
For sure. Yes. He says, I am glad you are feeling better, bro. I don't know how much better, though, Bobby. Stay healthy and well. LOL.
Appreciate you, PHP. You're the man. And Jang says, we need to start a GoFundMe to get Bobby a juicer. How funny is this? Being that I'm in a move-out process right now and putting a lot of stuff in storage, getting ready to skip town for a little while here, I do have a juicer, Jang. And the last time I used it, gosh, it's been multiple years. But I used to do celery juice. I used to grind up celery and take a daily shot of celery juice, essentially, with my juicer. It was nasty. Your face that you're making right now is what I would make before, during, and after. Maybe I was onto something there. Maybe I'll have to reconsider. I do have a juicer. It is staying with me. I have it in storage. There you have it.
Just don't do it with celery. There's so many good juices out there. So many good ones.
All right. Well, if anybody has, let me know. I'm glad to make some adjustments there because it was tough.
Do it out of fruit.
It was tough.
Some protein in there.
We got one more as well. James Green checking in.
Said Ravens could play Bengals on the moon and it wouldn't matter.
Thanks, James. Appreciate you guys for being with us today. If you'd like to become a channel member, press join or click on the link that we have in the pinned comment right now in the live chat. If you also could on the way in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, so on and so forth. Great to have you guys here on this Wednesday. Over 1,600 Tila right now in terms of concurrence and counting. On to the next topic. And Sarah, you already know I am a big Olympics buff. I love everything about the Olympics. This will be Milan coming up in Italy for the Winter Games in 2026. And then, of course, it's coming back to the United States for the first time in a long time in 2028 in Los Angeles. How does this have to do with anything related to the National Football League? Schefter's got it right here, and we've been teasing this in recent weeks as well. NFL owners voted today, that was the 20th, yesterday, meaning Tuesday, the 20th of May, to permit players to participate in flag football at the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA. And you already know, Sarah, that people are already putting together dream team rosters and trying to envision which players would be the best fit for flag football. But that is that. It is now in play for 2028.
I love this decision because I think the decision should be up to the players, right? Like, I mean, whether you are a superstar or the back end of the 53-man roster or a practice squatter, let them have the choice. And Bobby, I can still remember the first ever dream team in the 90s when the NBA allowed their players to be able to choose to go to the Olympics. And what an amazing time that was. You had Michael Jordan, you had Larry Bird, you had Isaiah Thomas, you had Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. I mean, just goes on and on and on. Karl Malone, John Stockton, was Reggie Miller on that first team? I can't remember, but it was just like the golden age of basketball to watch your best players battle it out in the NBA, and Michael Jordan usually dominating Magic Johnson out there. My goodness. Watching them battle it out, and you were always just like, as a little kid, I wonder what it'd be like to see all my favorite players on the same team. And then they went out and, of course, dominated the world in the Olympics. And so you'd have guys like Michael Jordan who would have a bunch of rings, and he'd also be Michael Jordan, Olympic gold medalist. It was awesome, and it was so fun to watch. And I feel like the same thing would happen with the NFL too. Now, if there are guys who don't want to do it, all that kind of stuff, fine for them. But I like that the NFL and the owners voted to give them that choice. And there's guys like Justin Jefferson, when he was asked about it. And he said, when he found out, to be honest, I'm at a loss for words. To think about the chance of playing in the Olympics and getting a gold medal, it's a dream. So don't be surprised if you see Justin Jefferson out there. Is this going to be in LA this next Summer Olympics where they would play flag football?
Correct.
Don't be surprised if you see the red, white, and blue USA jersey on Justin Jefferson and some of these other guys. Like, I will be glued to it. And obviously, flag football is so much different strategically from, regular football where you're hitting each other. And so I'm here for it. Now, of course, you mentioned people are like playing around with like the dream teams of flag football. And of course, Lamar Jackson is constantly named. And how could he not be named? Okay. He has spoken on this matter before the news ever came out, because when there were first rumors that they were talking about it, he kind of responded to some flag football stuff. So there was this guy, Mike Green, not the Ravens' new pass rusher, Mike Green, but a while back, he wrote, NFL players aren't pulling these flag football guys as flags. Okay. And then he posts this video with it, which I will play now, and I'll have to mute quickly because there's music that we will get copyrighted on. But these guys are pretty darn impressive. All right. Look at like the strategy there of just going low so that people can't get your flag. Like the way they go through there. Boom, going in with your booty into the end zone there. Like, it's just fun. It's just fun to watch. Now,
that's incredible right there.
Yeah. Like, I like good regular football where you get to hit somebody, but watching these guys move and that you have to have speed and agility, like, I'm excited for that. I'm definitely excited for that. Now, we also have seen back at that time when Lamar was, here, let me go back to this slide here. And then so this follower retweets that video, and the guy saying that, NFL players couldn't hang with these guys and pull their flags. He puts, they must not have seen Lamar Jackson highlights. So Lamar picks up on it, and he's laughing at this original guy's statement as if he couldn't play flag football. So he's got a laughing emoji, and he's like we don't know how to play flag football all of a sudden. I did that at the Boys and Girls Club, and has those sleeping emojis. And at the time, somebody went and got a video of him playing flag football. Now, was just kids, of course, but you could imagine this with Lamar in a USA jersey. You can commentate it, Bobby. You're the commentator around here. But I don't know if you know the video.
Oh yeah, I remember this well. This was in Germany, and Lamar has at least 10, 15 kids surrounding him and just puts on a clinic. I mean, this is the type of stuff that's just so naturally God-gifted evasiveness. Look at the elusiveness. Look at the improv. I mean, we've seen this on an NFL field, but he never really has 15 humans chasing after him at the same time. I don't even care if they're kids. He's got 15 kids. I mean, let's count them.
Sorry.
You can literally count them. So I'm not doubting for a second that he wouldn't be absolutely exceptional at it. And I got to be honest with you. I think I got to walk myself back a little bit. Last week, I kind of had some reservations on this just in terms of the health aspect of it. I know a lot of you feel something about that sentiment based on the live chat, that you'd be holding your breath if this were to happen. But I got to tell you, Justin Jefferson's comment there is to me pretty telling. And there is something to be said about wearing your nation's pride and ultimately competing in what I feel like is the pinnacle of sport. When I think of the Olympics, that's what comes to mind. It's the pinnacle of sport. It's your opportunity to showcase your pride of country. It's your opportunity to go after a gold medal. And in a lot of people's minds, there is nothing that is as prestigious as that when it comes to competition. And so I will walk myself back on this from last week. And if Lamar wants to do it, I am going to be a huge supporter of it, and I can't wait to see it.
Well, here's what's funny is it sounds like Lamar won't do it, because when somebody tweeted out those highlights that we just showed with all those kids, he quote retweeted that and said, "I was just messing around. Let the flag players have their league. But if they ever feel like us NFL players, not that, let me assemble the squad." Okay. And so he's leaving the door open for maybe changing his mind. He's a competitive guy and whatnot. So listen, every player is going to have to make a decision of their own. I like that the NFL empowered the players to make that decision. It allows Justin Jefferson to say, yeah, that would be a dream. Or Lamar saying, okay, let those flag players have their league. I'll just say this. If Lamar ever chose to do it, I'm here for it. The injury argument is fair. And at the same time, I feel like they did the same thing back in the 90s when they let the NBA players in, and because you can get, the more games you play, the more injured you can get. So is it safer than regular football, flag football? Absolutely, it's safer. You're not getting hit, but could you cut wrong and rip an ACL or pop a tendon? Of course. But they said the same thing with the NBA players. And so each player is going to have to make that choice. Is the opportunity to become a gold medalist a big enough gamble? There's no guarantee I'm going to get hurt. Is it worth me going out there? For Justin Jefferson, it's yes. So far for Lamar Jackson, it's a no. But if they came calling, if Team USA came calling and said, hey, Lamar, will you come with us? I wonder what his decision would be.
Yeah, I do too. He likes to have a good time online. He likes to get his fair share of trolling in there. He likes to have some fun. So it certainly does seem like this. It just doesn't seem like something that he would do. From a competition standpoint, though, and if it starts to gain traction and the Justin Jeffersons of the world, who have obviously an immense amount of influence, start to speak up, you wonder if he wavers at all.
Yeah. Now here, okay. So on this graphic right here, this is what does FF stand for? I'm trying to remember this website, Football Forever, I believe. They put together their dream team. And I don't think, because I saw the Ravens website put up, a flag football team of just Ravens players, but I think they got it wrong. These flag football teams have a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a center. So I remember the Ravens put up a tight end in place of the center. So, and then on the defensive side, you get 2 DBs, 2 safeties, and 1 rusher. So if you were to make a team, so first of all, they got Patrick Mahomes as QB1 in flag football. That's ridiculous. It for sure should be Lamar. Like, for sure should be Lamar with the way that you have to evade those flags. So they have Lamar as a reserve with Christian McCaffrey and L'Jarius Sneed. So their offense, they've got Patrick Mahomes, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. Tyreek Hill that's nice. Then on defense, they've got Sauce Gardner, Jalen Johnson, Kyle Hamilton makes the defensive team, Trent McDuffie, and Pat Surtain. Now, the rules are, Bobby, is that one player from each NFL team can represent one country. Okay, so if you had, let's say, Kyle Hamilton represent the Ravens, Lamar Jackson could not be on the team. Or he could not be on the USA team. But if, say, David Ojabo wanted to go play for, was it Scotland that he lived in? I'm not sure which country his citizenship is. Does he have dual? Does he have dual citizenship? I don't know. But if he wanted to play for, say, Scotland, then Kyle Hamilton could still play for the USA. But if you go ahead.
I just think that Kyle was teasing South Korea yesterday from what I saw on his Twitter account, because he's got Korean ties. His mother is Korean. And yeah, we'd have to look that up in terms of the Ojabo, being that he lived in both, Africa and Scotland and then the US, and obviously pretty well traveled here. But I'm with you. If there's one knock here when I look at this roster, Mahomes is elusive. He's not fast. He's not quick. He's not like Patrick is. What's the proper way to describe him? He's not firework fast. He's savvy in the pocket. He's savvy in every aspect of the game. But Lamar's on a different level of elusiveness, on a different level of freak athleticism. And so I think you have to have him as, sneaky. That's a go. Who just hit me with that? Yeah, C33 bags. That's kind of sneaky and savvy. He's just so savvy in the pocket is Mahomes. And so you can make up for his lack of, quickness, if you will.
Yeah. So my all Ravens team, even though you can't have that, I'd have Lamar at quarterback. I think I'd put Keaton Mitchell at running back. Because you got to this is different. Like Derrick Henry, like part of what makes him great in the NFL is that you can't tackle the dude. I think you need more speed and elusiveness. Maybe Justice Hill. You got to catch the ball a lot out of the backfield. So I think I'd go Keaton, Zay and Bate at wide receiver. And then for a center, who, by the way, Bobby, can go out for passes, I kind of want to put Isaiah Likely there. I don't want to give you your tradition. Like, I'm not putting Tyler Linderbaum there. He's not going to go out for passes.
No.
So, and then on the defensive side, I think you go Wiggins and Marlowe for your defensive backs. For sure, Kyle Hamilton and Malachi as your safeties. I don't know who I'd want as my rusher. You got to start 7 yards off, so I think you need somebody fast. I mean, fast. So if you were to take Roquan or Trenton Simpson or...
I think you need a Dafe out there.
Maybe Dafe. Maybe, yeah.
He's a freak. You got to get a Dafe out there.
Because he's always getting there. He just isn't bringing down the tackle. Maybe he can get the flag. Maybe Dafe's there for you.
Yeah.
So, anyway. That was the flag football conversation, which I'm kind of excited for. But I think I'm in the minority from what I'm hearing in the chat here.
Well, we'll have to, if it starts to gain a little bit more steam, we'll follow this.
And y'all know if Lamar did play, all of us are watching.
He'd be next level at it.
That USA Lamar Jackson jersey, that would hit different.
It would sell. That's what it would do. It would sell. Wouldn't it? It would sell. That's not all that Lamar's been up to in terms of the social media side of things. Some of this leaked out through Instagram, as it tends to this time of year, Sarah, and you had a chance to grab some of it, hit it in the Twitter sphere. Zay and Lamar getting after it. Obviously, they spend the majority of their off seasons in South Florida, and they were getting some off-season work in here a little bit with who's Jay Weiselberg. He's not Spence Fit.
No, I've got another video from him from Spence Fit, but I have seen. I went to his Instagram, And he's got some pictures back in the day with Zay. So he might be Zay's guy.
And you want to know what? They were at Preakness together. So he might have some BC ties or some South Florida ties. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
Jonathan Weiselberg, looks to be somehow affiliated with Zay.
How many yards is that right there? Hitting Zay deep. Boom.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because they're on a soccer field, but
yeah, it's so hard to tell.
Just getting some work in. Gotta love it.
Yeah, and then Spence Fit, who is Lamar Jackson's kind of trainer in the offseason, he's just got the other angle, of Lamar throwing the ball around. So nice to see Lamar and Zay get some work in. Obviously, OTAs begin next week, and so it will be the annual time of year for people to debate whether or not you should be at OTAs, depending on who shows up. I always think it's very smart for veterans to show, if you don't want to be there for all the OTAs, which I believe there's 3 individual weeks before mandatory. If you don't want to be there for all 3 weeks, my feeling is go day one. Go day one and then quiet everybody instead of, maybe going week 3, and then everybody's talking about you not being there. I personally don't think that if you're a veteran and there's not a new offense, I don't think that you need to be there. So I'm just telling you, I say the same thing every single year. If you have a new offense or a new defensive coordinator, I think it's more beneficial that you be there, or if you're a young player. But if you're a veteran, you've got the same offensive coordinator, I don't think you need to be there all 3 weeks. From a PR standpoint, to kind of get ahead of what people say, show up day one and then do what you got to do until mandatory minicamp.
Fine by me. And you're right. We've had to have that conversation in recent years with some of the offensive turnover. So
it's coming again, I promise you.
Yeah, it will. It will.
Again.
We'll be ready for it.
Yeah.
Let's get to some quick hits here. The Lions withdrew their playoff reseeding proposal. If you weren't paying attention to this one, essentially this now means a team that went 0-6, let's say, in their division, if that were to actually happen, that team can still host another team with a better season-long record when it comes to January postseason. So, again, they'll maybe revisit it, Sarah, if an 18-game season ends up being implemented. But until then, it's sticking.
Yeah, that's it. I think they're waiting to make bigger changes for when they make that overall bigger change to 18 games. And that won't be this upcoming season. Probably. It'll probably be next couple of years. One thing that had swayed me that I didn't know before, because you were out yesterday, is I learned that a division winner would still be an automatic playoff berth. So that helped me be fine with the seeding. But nonetheless, they withdrew it. It's not happening. And I don't know why they withdrew it, but maybe it's because they've been told, hey, we're going to revisit this when we make bigger changes overall over the season. Meanwhile, the owners did vote on the quote unquote tush push play. And according to Diana Rossini and many others, now I'm got a little cough, but the tush push is here to stay, at least for now. It required 75% of the vote from NFL owners, which they did not get. And Diana revealed that some teams that supported the Eagles' position in keeping it included the Ravens, Patriots, Lions, and Jets. We knew that that's how the Ravens were going to vote. John Harbaugh has spoken about this. He was not in favor of banning it because he felt like there would be too many unintended consequences. The language that was put in there by whoever proposed this, Green Bay, was that you can't push from behind, which it would need to be more specific than that, because I'm fine when a running back is down, has run for say 15, 20 yards, and then they hit into some defenders, and then an offensive lineman coming up from behind, running up the field and pushing you into the end zone. I love those type of plays. So I feel like what John Harbaugh's point was, well, if you ban them pushing from behind, you have to ban all that type of blocking and all that type of helping. And so I think it would have to be way more specific. And I think also I'm wondering if John is like, well, I implemented it here with Mark Andrews is our guy that we do it with. I feel like the Ravens think that they figured it out and feel like they can maybe have an automatic 1 yard first down or 1 yard touchdown. So other teams are just going to have to adjust and get their own version of the tush push. And if it becomes automatic for, essentially 32 teams, then I'm here to ban it. But if it's just 1 or 2 teams and it's like, you got to be better then. You got to be better and stop it.
Charlie Kohler's not too shabby at it either. So
yeah,
Green Bay's somewhere punching air. I know that. But I like the fact that the Ravens were singled out because that essentially tells you we think it's a football play. We think we can try to stop it. We're not going to sit here and just be defeated. And we're also going to use it, by the way, to our advantage because we got the personnel to do it. Kind of love the message that sends right there. More quick hits here. All-PFF defense and offense. I guess it's that time of year, Sarah, where rankings and lists get thrown out there. But this is since 2000. Okay, so just in terms of what they're working on. John McRae from PFF put it together, but obviously, as you can see, well represented by Ravens members. Derrick Henry earns the nod at running back. Marshall Yanda at right guard. So 2 members of the offensive side are Ravens, past and present. And there's another 2 on the defensive side as well. No surprise whatsoever. Ray Lewis at linebacker and Ed Reed takes safety. So there you have it, since 2000.
When did Jonathan Ogden retire? And how is he not on here?
J.O. was playing into the 2000s.
Yeah, I started there in 2005 and he was still there. So that's crazy.
He played into the 2000s. Who do they have on the offensive side of the ball? Joe Thomas, pretty darn good one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Maybe there's an argument to be had there. But Joe Thomas is certainly I wouldn't be, over the moon upset about that. That's a viable candidate for sure.
Otherwise, pretty well represented.
To have 4 total?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. This was hysterical. The guys showed up and showed out a Preakness.
They did, which I did cover a little bit, but I wanted to put out this video where they have Keaton Mitchell and Zay Flowers kind of like, just what's the word I'm looking for? Hyping each other up for sure in their fits. And I don't know why. Maybe it was because we had Keaton Mitchell on here for hours draft night that now I know his personality a little bit better, which makes this makes me smile a little bit more. And this is at Afro Preak, which I think happens, before Preakness. But here are the 2.
Wear your jewelry. You take the grills out for a spin, right? Let me see it. Now,
me, I was gonna wear a suit, but I checked the weather. It was too hot, so I just came casual, smooth little button down, smooth little, go Louis belt.
okay, true, twin. Y'all.
And them boys are a little sauced up right there. What was going on at Afro Peak, man? That looks like it was something else. Afro Preak. Okay, I didn't realize this was an event.
I like how I didn't either, but I just love Keaton giving us what was going on in his mind and how he changed outfits depending on weather and this and that. And I'm just I just feel like I know Keaton better, and that just made me smile.
I really love that guy too. Yeah, I'm so glad he spent so much time with us a few weeks back. So
yeah,
that's hysterical. Zay and Keaton hyping each other up. The duo that we didn't know we needed. That we absolutely do.
Yes, that we didn't know we needed. That's right. We do need that duo.
Absolutely. Lisa Mason and Lauren Wunderlich, thank you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out because of the consistent support that you give us through Patreon. So appreciate you guys for being part of the community. And if you out there are interested in doing the same, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast to learn more about what we're offering here inside the channel this month. Partner, we'll be back tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, of course, coming up here.
No setbacks for you.
Yeah.
No setbacks.
No setbacks, but plenty to do, including get my mom off on the road here to head north. She's been a huge help in this moving process, being that I've been bedridden for much of the last 2 days. So appreciate you for carrying the weight here inside the vault, her and everybody else for showing up. We're all good?
I think we're all good. I think your mom's been a rock star.
All
Just
right.
want to give her a shout out.
Shout out, Madre. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Under an hour. I know some of you are going to hold us to that, but I'm sure we'll make it up before the week's over.
We're 57 minutes, and we've definitely been way more than 3 minutes over. In fact, I think yesterday, solo, I went an hour and 15. So
I was going to say, I noticed that when I was putting the audio stuff up, and I was just like, she probably had no clue she hit an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, I mean, I just ended up talking a little bit with chat, just a tiny bit. But
it's a fun time. And if I was feeling better, I wish we could do it right now because I got a lot to update everybody on the one more thing side of things, but it's all good. We'll get there when we get there.
All right.
Appreciate you, partner, as always. Thank you guys for spending some time with us on this Wednesday. Like the video on your way out if you haven't already. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. You know how the drill is at this point. If you'd like to become a channel member, you can do so by clicking join or the link that's right now pinned in the comments section. So for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off. We'll catch up with you in under 23 hours from right now for a Thursday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. And as always, until then, we'll catch up with you. And thanks for spending some time with us here inside the vault.